Hello everyone, welcome back. This is another tutorial in Pick Basic playlist. Okay, so this is a continuation of the programming that we are learning, and we are going through a lot of programming videos. Okay, so today we are going to learn how to sort a dynamic array. Okay, so we have an array which of full of numbers. Okay, so we have to sort it. Okay, so let's try to do it as with the shortest way, or with the least number of lines of code. Okay, so before we start, please subscribe to this channel for more such tutorials. I have a playlist for Pick Basic programming. So if you have not seen my earlier videos, please make sure you watch all of these so that you will have a clear picture of what we are going to learn today. Okay, so yeah, so I'll not talk about the basics today, so I'll directly jump to the program to sort an array, an unsorted array. Okay, so let's just quickly write the program. So the name of the program will be sort da, something like that, d array, dynamic array. Okay, so I have this. Let's just create a dynamic array. Okay, with some random values like at the rate am is the attribute mark. I'll be using that as a delimiter. Okay, so I'm taking some some random values, and then we are going to sort it. Okay, so I think that should be enough. Let me add few more values. Okay, and then we are going to start it. So this is my dynamic array. Okay, so the let's just display it. Input dynamic array is this DA. Okay, so this will be your input dynamic array. So I'm just going to run it. So this is your input dynamic array, and now we are going to sort it. Correct. So now how we are going to sort it? Okay, so basically what we have to use is we have to use the same logic that you might have used in another languages. Okay, so only difference is that here the syntax is different, but the logic will remain the same. So what we have to do, we have to apply the logic that if we will traverse using the for loop, and if we will compare the two elements, if we find that the next element is bigger than the previous element, we are going to swap it. That is the core logic. Okay, so uh, we are going to declare a temp value which will store the temp value. Okay, so yeah, and then we are going to run. So and then of course we are going to need uh, to traverse through the whole dynamic array, we are going to need the length of the number of elements in the dynamic array. So for that I'm going to use uh, the, let's say, count equal to, so we are going to use the decount function that will return the number of elements in the dynamic array, and it takes the dynamic array comma the attribute or the delimiter that will is being used here. So now count has the number of elements in the dynamic array. So now we are good. Now we can traverse through the dynamic array. Okay, so I equal to 1 to count. Okay, so we are going from 1 to the number of elements, and this will end with next I am going inside, and then I am writing one more loop because I will be using it to traverse. So next J, let me format it. Okay, so inside this second loop, so inside this nested loop, so why am I using two loops? because I have to put the pointer on one element, and then I have to use one more iterator that will point to the uh, point to the same element but with a different iterator. Okay, so now my second pointer will move forward and my first pointer will remain on the first element itself. So I'm going to compare the first element with all the elements one by one. Okay, so my I pointer will remain at first position while j will traverse from 1 to until the end, and if we get any element which is bigger than the first element, okay, which is smaller than the first element, we are going to swap it. Okay, so that is the concept. Now inside this, what I am going to do, so if so now if dynamic array of j, you know, if j is bigger than dynamic array I, then what we are going to do, we are going to swap it using the temp. So temp will store dA of j, and then dA of j will be stored in temp of dA of j will store dA of I, and then I'm finally uh, putting dA of I will now hold temp. Okay, so this is the swapping mechanism. Okay, I'm just going to format it so to make it look better. So what I'm going to do here, so I check if dA of j, the dynamic array at first position here, is greater than dA of 1. Okay, so if it is at the first iteration both are at first position, so this will fail. So now j will increment, so j will move to second position. So if j is dA of j is greater than dA of I, we are going to make a swap. Okay, so this mechanism will be used to swap. So we are going to make sure that the next element is not bigger than my previous element. Okay, now let's try to just print it so that we get to understand what is happening here. Okay, so the result, okay, array sorted array. Okay, so sorted array DA. Let me just see if it really works. So this is the input array and this is the sorted array. And you see it is definitely sorted. Okay, so this logic is pretty much simple, and you might have seen this in other programming language. So all I am going to do is I am going to check if the next element is bigger than my previous element. I am going to make a swap, okay, to make it in a sorted manner. Okay, so and this is used, this concept is being used to make a swap. So I'm storing dA j into temp, and then dai will be stored in dA of j, and then dai will hold the temp value. This is nothing but the swap. Okay, so this is pretty much simple, and I won't take much time for this tutorial. And if you find anything, any questions, if you are facing, please feel free to reach out. So yeah, that's all in this tutorial, and I hope you might have subscribed. If not, please subscribe to this channel. Thank